What's up, guys? Everyday Trucker here, back with another video. Today I'm going to show you guys how to properly secure vinyl fencing. So let's go ahead and get to it. Alright guys, like I said, we got vinyl fencing for our pickup today. And overall, vinyl fencing is not all that different from lumber as far as like the way that you secure it, but there's a couple of caveats and I'll show you and explain as we go along here. But here's a look at what we're picking up. Pallets of vinyl fencing. And it's 2 rows. You see there. Here, 2 rows with they're double stacked here. It's really easy to secure this, but you have to secure it a specific way, you know, in order to not damage it. It's simple because you only need to throw a couple of straps on each or over top of each set of pallets, but the straps have to be placed in a specific spot, otherwise you can damage the product. Because this is not very strong itself, so if you really winch down your strap on this, you can possibly crack it. So when you're throwing your straps, you might see a sign here, it says strap here. So for this stuff, you have to throw your straps right over top of this strength point of each pallet. So strap has to be here in front, and another strap has to be on the rear, right over top of the strongest portion of the pallet. Okay, and you do that down the length of the trailer and all of those key spots for each set of pallets. And of course, we want to have our forward movement protection, so you're going to throw your X straps, but you got to do something a little bit special with that as well, instead of just throwing them normally like you would. So let's go ahead and get these straps thrown, and we will check out the finished product, and I'll up. Everything's all strapped down and tightened. As you guys see, the finished product. X straps up front. 2 straps on every bundle here, front to rear. And as you can see, straps, like there's the top where I said the strap needs to be over the strongest points in the wood, which is right at the end. But the way that this goes, you can't really link it up straight, because for one, some of these bundles, the bottom of the pallet is kind of blocking the hole where I would need to put my strap. So I had to kind of like put it over to the side a little bit. But you have to use edge protector pole or a metal pole, something that you had that you can move the straps around, and you just push the straps where they need to be, and then you just lightly pull down on your strap to make it tight enough, or tight enough so that it won't move, and then you start winching it, and as you tighten your strap, it will not move. It'll stay like right over top of that strong point where you have it, even if it's not dead center, going straight down from that strong pillar to the pocket where it normally would go into. So you just have to take your time with it, and you have to have one of those edge protector poles or the metal pole that you can use that a shipper might provide to you. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to do it because you can't climb on top of these loads. But here it's all the same. And I put, you might not be able to see this well, but I put an edge protector up on this one here in the very front, because got some traffic moving around behind me here. But I put an edge protector there because I couldn't get a 4-inch strap through here or a 2-inch strap. The buckle wouldn't fit because the same issue with this pallet blocking the pocket hole that I would need to use. So I put an edge protector up there so I could still put the strap where I wanted it to be, but not damage the product when I tighten my winch down. But this one I didn't tighten this winch down drum tight. It's a little bit tighter than snug, and as you can see, that doesn't have a lot of play in it when I'm pulling on it. So you want to do that if you're unable to put it right over the strength point of the pallet, like I was unable to for this particular section. But yeah, your edge protectors, and then you want to have your X-strap first. Throw the X-strap first. That's the very first thing that I did. That way when you throw your first 4-inch ratchet or 2-inch, if you use the 2-inch for this, you would need to use two 2-inches instead of one 4-inch. If you are unable to use a 4-inch strap, you need to use two 2-inch straps if you have to make a substitution. But with this one, I put the 2-inch straps for my X-straps, and then I threw a 4-inch strap over top of the X-strap. So the way I always think of it is the X-strap is the seat belt for your load. It's keeping your load from coming forward on you, just the same way your seat belt will keep you from coming forward into your steering wheel if you were to crash or to have some kind of hard impact. So the X-strap first is the seat belt for the load, and then this 4-inch strap that I put over top of the X-strap is the seat belt for the X-strap. So it's added strength holding the X-strap in place and also reinforcing the strength that the X-strap is providing to keep this load right where it is and keeping it from moving forward on me, in addition to holding the load straight down onto the trailer like it normally would. But other than that, man, these are pretty simple. These are just like lumber loads, you know, put a strap in the front or in the rear for a standard lumber load that's not filled with really long pallets, but that's beside the point. So just a strap in the front, strap in the rear, and of course you want to make your straps alternate. So this strap is pulling towards me with the winch end on this side, and the very next one is in the back, and this one has the buckle side towards me, and the winch side is on the other side. That way your weight of your load, the strength of the pull, is alternating. That way if I make a hard turn left or right, or anything happens where this load wants to try to shift either way on me, the counter pull is keeping the load where it needs to be. So it's pulling on this side in the front, pulling on the opposite side, the passenger side, for the rear part of this load. So it's evenly balanced, and I did that on each individual bundle. So it's winch side in the very front of the piece, buckle side on the driver's side on the rear of each piece. Like I said, you want to do that on each individual piece. You want to do that on every load that you have. You want to alternate your straps so you have that counterbalance for the strength of the pull. And you don't have to X-strap the rear of this. It's not like a load of insulation. This stuff is light, but it's nowhere near as light as like a load of insulation. But you don't have to worry about this coming backwards off the trailer on you because of the wind resistance. And here, this is one of those edge protector poles I was telling you about. You know, that way you can reach all the way up to the top of your load. And this is just made of two individual PVC pipe pieces. So you can see right there, this is the second piece, and I just put them together. And I don't have a video that shows you how to make a PVC pipe edge protector pole. I might do something like that in the future, but for the moment, I'm sure you'll be able to find something else about that on another YouTube video. But here we go. And this load has to be tarped, so we're going to be driving into that shed here, get this load tarped with their machine, and then we'll be on the other side to bungee down we'll tarp and we will be out of here. So let's go ahead and get that part done, guys, so we can get moving. All right, guys, I wasn't able to get any footage of the machine putting the tarp on just because I had to take an active role in getting that done. I had to make sure that I anchored down the tarp, and there was a whole line of people, so it wasn't really the opportunity for me to take my time. But let me show you something. When you're tarping, or when you're using a tarp machine, you want to make sure that as soon as you are able, once the tarp gets put on, you want to make sure that you anchor your tarp down, because it's windy out here today. It feels nice, it's comfortable, but the wind can be your enemy when you're flatbedding, for sure. When it comes to your tarps, putting your tarps away, rolling them back up, or putting them on your load, the wind can blow your tarp back open, or it can even blow your tarp off of your load if you don't have it anchored down. It's happened to me before, once before, and after that one time I made sure that that would never happen to me again. But what you need to do is you need to go to 4 points on your tarp. This is the front tarp, and I have just a single bungee right here anchoring it down to the trailer. I did the same thing in the same position on the passenger side, and then I go to the rear of the front tarp, hook a bungee to the very end, anchor it down, and here's the second tarp. The second tarp, or the rear tarp. The rear tarp goes on first, just because it makes the load aerodynamic. You know, you want to have the rear tarp down first, and then you put your front tarp over top of it. That way the wind is just blowing easily over your load. If you put the rear tarp on last and it goes over top of your front tarp, then you're going to look like you're pulling a parachute behind you. The wind's going to catch underneath the rear tarp, and it's going to be blowing it in the wind. So you always want to put your rear tarp down first, put your front tarp over top of the rear tarp. But back to what I was saying about anchoring. So you got the rear tarp and it's anchored down just like that, and you also want to do it in the rear of the tarp. Like I said, you want to do it on all 4 points of each tarp, so the front and rear of each tarp. So here we have the rear anchor there, and the same thing on the passenger side. And the reason for that is just to make sure that the wind does not catch under any side of your tarp while you're working on it and completely blow the tarp up and over the other side of your tarp. And you have to go through all the trouble of getting the load re-tarped, and it's not a fun experience. Like I said, that happened to me one time, and the place where it happened to me, I fortunately didn't have to use the machine as far as like needing assistance getting the load re-tarped, because that particular load, I got loaded late there, and at the time when the tarp blew off of my load, all of the employees at the shipper had already gone home for the day. So I would have been in a bad spot because that load was too tall for me to, or that load was not too tall, fortunately. But if it had been something like this, I would have been in a bad spot, because there's no way you can climb up on top of this. This is I would venture to say it's like a 13'6" high load. It's well above the tractor. The tractor is 12'6" at the peak of this the exhaust stacks there. 12'6" measurement. So I think it's pretty accurate guess saying this is 13'6". It's a fair bit higher. But once you have the tarp anchored down, then you can work without worrying about the wind knocking it off, and you won't have any problems. So I'm gonna go ahead and tarp this load, guys, and we're gonna get on out of here. Now you all know how to properly secure vinyl fencing, and you got a good helpful tip for how to make sure your tarp doesn't get blown off and you have to go through the trouble of getting that mess re-secured, re-tarped, and dealing with that foolishness. So I'll check you guys in the next video. Your Night Trucker out.